Hello everyone, it's James from Theresas Sound World. Now I was looking at my vlogs from the last few months and I realised I haven't done an introduction video talking a bit about Theresas Sound World since March. And bearing in mind that so many of you have liked my page and followed me in that time, I just thought it was about time that I shot a new video just explaining a bit about the blog page. So it's just to start by saying many thanks to everyone who's liked and followed me, followed Theresa's Sound World, read my articles, watched my vlogs, commented, chatted to me about music, chatted to each other about music, because that's really important, getting people talking, and having a laugh about things, because I think it's so important having a sense of humour when you're dealing with music and not taking things too seriously. But also many thanks to people who have shared my articles, not just on Facebook but off on Twitter and different platforms as well. And also many thanks to bands and artists who have felt confident enough in my writing to get in touch and ask for a review. So it's just wonderful. So a bit of background information about Theresa's Sound World, a bit of history. I started the blog page here at the end of January, and it really just started as a hobby where a lot of my older friends in the offline world are either musicians or music fans or both, and we go back many years, and I just thought it was a really nice way of talking about music, sharing old memories of music, maybe new music that we've got into, bands that we might have gone and seen of friends, or bigger bands that we went to see, gigs in the past, bands we were in together, and we might be just sharing the sort of memories of music, and it was just a fun way of doing that and creating a little community. But then people outside of my friendship group started to actually show interest in my writing, and that was quite a bit of a shock really, and things started to snowball and momentum increased, and it just became something that I just couldn't predict. So I've turned into a pretty frequently blogging alternative music blog page. So the articles I'll be writing about consist of articles about certain types of music such as indie, so I'll be writing about all the myriad genres of that, the subgenres such as indie pop, shoegaze, dream pop, Brit pop, baggy, that kind of thing. I'll also be writing articles about alternative rock, and I can also occasionally talk about the older genres like grunge. I'm really into punk music as well, particularly hardcore punk, which I'll be discussing quite frequently. But also you'll find that I write articles on jazz, funk, soul, psychedelia, folk, hip hop. There's quite a lot of genres that I cover, but I tend to stay in the sort of umbrella of alternative music. One aspect of music I tend to avoid is the mainstream, and it's not because I'm some old snob. It's because I find that sometimes, but not always, in the mainstream, that things are a little bit more manufactured and plastic, and I find that alternative music is a lot more creative and sincere and genuine, and it excites me a lot more than something that perhaps sometimes feels a little bit like product. I tend to reference, if I'm talking about the mainstream, in terms of comparisons or pop culture references. But I'm not ever coming from a critical point of view. I keep Theresa's Sound World a very positive place. I only talk about music that I like, and I don't criticise or condemn music. I don't use the words best. I only ever use favourites, because I think that music is such a personal thing, and who are we to decide what's the best and what people should be and shouldn't be listening to. So the format is usually daily. I have daily content, and I do a main blog, which will either be an album review, a single review, an EP review, or it might be a review of a music-related book or a music-related film, or it might be a gig I've been to a while ago, or something a bit more current. I mean, can't really review those at the moment, but hopefully when things change after the lockdown and I can get some more live gigs, I tend to review them a few days after the performance. Another permanent feature I have is something I call vinyl hold. I have a very bloated and ever-increasing vinyl collection, which has been multiplying over decades, and every time I do the vinyl hold, I hold up a piece of vinyl, and I either here's an example. Here's the Beatles. So you'll see a photo of me holding up some vinyl, or I might actually do a video about it, and I may talk about the vinyl, but whatever, even if I don't talk about the vinyl, I'll usually add a little link to either YouTube, iTunes, Bandcamp, so that if it's something that you're familiar with, you might want to have a listen, but if it's something brand new or something that you're unfamiliar with, it's nice for you to explore that and have a listen. The other content I tend to do is a bit more spontaneous. I might discover some music news that I want to share with you, or I might be listening to a piece of music and suddenly it stirs something inside and I start tapping away and write an article spontaneously. When I blog, I tend to blog in the evening, and I tend to have a midpoint break, and when I do that, I tend to share with you, the reader, what music I'm listening to during my break in the blogging. I do try and do some content daily. However, I may have a day off or two from the blog in the week, and that's because I also write articles for Backseat Mafia, who are an online music web page, and I'm a musician myself, so I need to have a bit of time to do that. The way I write, my style is very much from the point of view of a music enthusiast and a live music fan and a vinyl fan. I'm in no way a critic. There's nothing negative that I'll ever say on the sound world. I just tend to keep it very light and very positive. Also, I draw my experience as a musician and analyse music from that point of view as well. I'm very pleased that bands have felt confident to get in touch and ask for reviews, which I'm happy to do. Most of the time I am reviewing new music. Occasionally I will retrospectively review a favourite old album or a track or something like that. But there are quite a lot of reviews coming out regularly. By all means, if you're in a band, and bear in mind the kind of genres that I've spoken about, get in contact by sending me a message at Theresas Soundworld. There tends to be a 3 to 4 week waiting list for a review, but I will get around to it. But in the meantime, again, many thanks to everyone for liking and following and reading my articles. It's most appreciated, never taken for granted. I'm just trying to help build a bit of an online community which is friendly and positive and light-hearted about music, and of course passionate about music. So many thanks, and hope to speak soon. Cheers for now.